Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call today's meeting of the Committee of Adjustment to order. We would like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional lands and treaty territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which includes the Chippewas of Nawash, unceded First Nation, and the Chippewas of Saugeen First Nation. We also recognize the Métis, whose ancestors shared this land and these waters. We extend our gratitude to all Anishinaabe and Métis peoples and their descendants, past, present, and future, who continue to care for and inhabit these lands and tend these waters. The purpose of today's meeting is to review applications for minor variances as they apply to certain lands in the municipality of Meaford. Let me start by first introducing the members of this committee. Mr. David Cramp on my far right, Mr. Ed Ormsby, Mr. Cam Hall, who's the vice chair of this committee. On my far left, Mr. Peter Tovell, and myself, Terry Williams. I am the elected chair. The municipal planning staff in attendance today are Denise McCarl, manager of planning services, Helena Fascianato, planner, and Gabe Pucci, who's development services assistant and secretary treasurer for this committee. This committee is legally required to make decisions that conform to the Provincial Planning Act, as well as the existing county and local official plans. Based on these documents, the municipal planning staff have prepared detailed reports and recommendations for this committee. In addition, the municipality encourages the community to share their thoughts about a proposed application. Your constructive comments to this committee will help us to make informed decisions. For those who have pre-registered for today's meetings or are in attendance, you will have the opportunity to speak. I will call upon you at the appropriate time. It's not necessary to speak in favor or against a proposal, but rather we are encouraging you to speak on the elements of the proposal as you see fit. You are also encouraged to ask any questions. Should you wish to do so, the applicant will have the opportunity to respond to any comments or questions raised by either the committee or the members of the public. Anyone wishing to receive a notice of the decision on any of the applications being heard today will need to contact the Secretary Treasurer of this committee via email at planning@meaford.ca or by phone 519-538-1060, extension 1120. Gabe, are there any changes to this agenda?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No other changes to this agenda. Thank you.
Have the committee members had the opportunity to review the minutes from the last meeting? Are there any changes required? May I have a motion then to accept the minutes? Peter and David, all in favor? That motion is carried. We will now begin the public meetings, but before doing so, I must ask committee members if there is any reason that they have a pecuniary interest or general nature thereof, which would eliminate them from making a decision on these files.
None.
Seeing none. All right. The meeting of the Committee of Adjustment is to consider an application for a minor variance under Section 45 of the Planning Act for the lands known as 183 Sykes Street North. The requirement to hold this meeting is that there must have been at least 10 days notice as prescribed in the Planning Act. Gabe, can you please confirm that the public notice was provided at least 10 days in advance? And if so, would you please summarize the application and provide us with any comments that have been received?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The notice was given on November 2nd, 2023, giving more than the required 10 days notice. The property owner seeks to construct a carport and to permit an existing non-conforming shed on the subject lands. The applicant requests the following relief from zoning bylaw 60/2009. The first one to reduce the required interior side yard setback for the carport from 1.2 meters to 0.3 meters. And the second one is to recognize that the reduced interior side yard setback for an existing shed of 0.4 meters where 1.2 meters is required. The official plan designation of the lands is downtown core transition. Thank you.
Yeah.
And regarding the comments, no comments with concerns or recommendations were received, and comments were given by Great Sobel Conservation Authority, Historic Sauga Métis, and Gray County with no concern or recommendation. Thank you.
Helena, are there any additional comments on this file?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. So I'll just give a brief summary of the application. So this property is within the downtown transitional zone of our official plan. The applicant intends to build a carport on the driveway, and it will be attached to the existing dwelling on the property. The applicant is requesting relief from the required interior side yard setback from 1.2 meters to 0.3 meters. I will note that after circulation of the notice, we did receive an updated sketch of the proposal, where the length of the carport has been increased to 6.1 meters to accommodate one of the two required parking spaces. While staff was reviewing the application, a recently erected shed was identified to not comply with the current zoning. That shed is shown on figure 3, that Google Street View in the staff report. So the applicant is also requesting relief from the interior side yard setbacks for the existing shed from 1.2 meters to 0.4 meters. We did receive a comment from the County Ecology Department stating that as the property is designated as an area that may influence highly vulnerable aquifers, low impact development and infrastructure is recommended. As a carport and a shed are considered to be low impact development, staff are satisfied that the proposed variances are in line with the comments received. And so there's one condition proposed for this application, and I'll just read it out. So it is that the proposed addition shall occur substantially in accordance with the site plan and the schedule and drawings provided with the application A14-2023. So that's all I have, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Based on your site visit and the report from the planning staff, does any of the members of the committee have any questions?
No.
David?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Helena, where's the measurement taken from for that 0.3 meters from the foundation of the carport? What I see is an issue of overhang and things like that, not in this circumstance because it appears to be wide open to the south side there.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So the measurement is from that post, the exterior post of the carport to the property line. Yes. Yeah.
Are there any other additional questions? Would the applicant, if they are present, care to make any comments?
Just in regards to this.
Please stand.
Could you please stand there and turn on your
And
microphone?
identify yourself.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Douglas Trumper. I'm the owner of the property. And the only comment I have is regarding the overhang. The intended design is to end at the beam. So the roof will be maybe an inch past the beam, and the beam is centered on the posts. So it'll be a good foot from the fence line. And it is open there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any member of the public?
No, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Any final comments or questions? Gabe, would you please provide a suggested decision and conditions of this variance?
The decision is that the recommended decision is that the Committee of Adjustment grant minor variance application A14-2023 to permit the development of the lands in accordance with the site sketch. And the condition is that the proposed addition shall occur substantially in accordance with the site plan in this schedule and drawings provided with the application A14-2023. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any last comments? May I have a motion then to accept the motion with it? Pam and Ed? All in favor? That motion is carried. Would you please read the decision and outline the next steps? Yeah.
The next step is the applicant will receive an email with the decision and the notice of appeal period. Also, the applicant, can take down the sign from the property. Thank you.
Thank you. There will just be a brief period while we sign this, so you're welcome to leave or you're welcome to stay should you wish to do so.
Thank you very much. Go Packers.
This is a meeting of the Committee of Adjustment to consider an application for a minor variance under Section 45 of the Planning Act for the lands known as 158-185 7th line. The requirement to hold this meeting is that there must be at least 10 days notice as prescribed in the Planning Act. Gabe, can you please confirm that public notice was provided at least 10 days prior to this meeting and summarize the application and provide us with any comments that have been received?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The notice was given on November 2nd, 2023, giving more than the required 10 days notice. Regarding the application, the property owner seeks permission to build an accessory building on the subject lands. The applicant requests the following relief from zoning bylaw 60-2009. The first one is to permit a maximum lot coverage of 11%, where the maximum lot coverage of all detached accessory buildings on the lot is 5%. The second one is to permit a height of 5 meters for the detached accessory building, where a maximum height of 4.5 meters is permitted. There are no other accessory buildings or structure on the property. The official plan designation of the lands is rural highway commercial. Thank you. Oh, I apologize. There are also comments with no concerns or recommendations provided by Grey County, Historic Saugeen Métis, and Grace Harbor Conservation Authority. However, we received the late comments from MTO with recommendation, and Helena will be able to summarize them right now. Thank you.
Yes, Helena, can you provide us with additional comments, please?
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Chair, Gabe did a great job of summarizing the application. I just wanted to touch on some of the comments received. So the County Ecology Department provided comments stating that if tree removal is required, removal during breeding bird nesting season from April to September should be avoided. I just wanted to confirm that the area of the site is free of trees. We've also received comments from MTO noting that the application does not currently meet their requirements. They have noted that consolidation of the two parcels is required prior to their approval. So thus, we are recommending a condition where the two parcels be formally consolidated into one PIN. MTO has also noted that there are currently 3 entrances to the subject lands and that an updated site plan should be provided prior to their approval. So before the applicant receives their building permit to construct this accessory building, they do require a permit from MTO. Planning staff is recommending a condition where the variance will only be in effect once a permit for the development is received from MTO. This will allow them more time to discuss the site further with the applicant and to ensure that they are satisfied with the proposal. So that's all I have for that. And just to summarize the conditions for this minor vary application. So they will read: 1, that the proposed addition shall occur substantially in accordance with the site plan and the schedule and drawings provided with the application A15-2023. 2, that the 2 parcels be formally consolidated into 1 PIN. 3, this variance will only be in effect once a permit for the development is received from the Ministry of Transportation. So thank you. That's all I have.
Does any member of the committee have any comments or questions based on their site visit or the report? Ed?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. If the applicants are aware of the fact that the MTO is requiring them to merge the 2 properties, and are they agreeable to that?
Yes, so through you, Mr. Chair, the applicant has been in touch with MTO directly. And we have received an email in the comments. So that was also sent to the applicant stating everything the MTO needs in order for them to be satisfied.
Mr. Chair, if I may, just help me understand and make sure. If the building in question did not exceed the 5% or the 4.5 meters, would the comments from the MTO be relevant?
So through you, Mr. Chair, I understand that MTO is concerned about the 3 entrances on the property, not necessarily about the size and the height of the accessory structure. It's more so about having one of those entrances be removed so that they will only have 2 access points. I may get Denise to hop in on this one as well.
Thank you.
Thanks. And thanks, Helena. So the reason for me hopping in is just because we did do a pre-consultation for this proposal previously. So we had looked at 2 different options, and that's why MTO has had some previous conversations with the property owner, because they had looked at developing that other property as a standalone property separate from this one, but ultimately they are using the properties for the same business. So it makes sense that they're put together. So I think to your question about are the comments relevant, in some ways, no, because they would have been circulated as part of, or they would have been required to provide a permit, and the MTO would be looking at this proposal as part of that. So if, for example, everything met zoning, they may have asked for something to change as part of that permit. And so there is, because there's that whole separate permit process, if zoning was met, if they weren't asking for the increase in lot coverage, for example, or if we didn't have this issue with the height, then they would just be providing commentary to the owner directly through that permit.
Thank you.
Can you clarify the point that says MTO does not support interconnection between these 2 properties?
Absolutely. So what they mean by that is if they were separate. So
Okay.
originally the proposal was to develop a warehouse type use, but really for storage for this business on a separate property. And I think one of the original thoughts of the owner, and they're here so they can speak to it, was that they wouldn't need a variance for height and lot coverage then, because it was a warehouse is allowed to be quite big. The issue is that they intended to use this for the business, and they were planning to kind of, if you look how the site looks now, I'm sure all of you saw the property, they are using that other lot with the main lot. So I think MTO is just saying, if you want to develop the warehouse on the other lot, because they did look like they were 2 separate lots at that time, they wouldn't allow them to connect directly through. So they can't bring a truck into one lot, use stuff, drop off stuff at the warehouse, and then drive through the other lot and exit. And that's why they're stating in that email that they also would require separation and a fence. if they merge the lots together, which was one of our suggestions that they made, that yes, they have to do the variance, but it might be easier to do this because they wouldn't have to have a washroom for their warehouse. They wouldn't have to connect to water because really it's just a storage building. But as a standalone use, it required other infrastructure to be involved. And that seemed to be more costly than just asking for the variance. So the comments about interconnection and the fence and all that stuff were meant for the other scenario where it's a standalone building.
Okay, thank you. Any additional comments, questions?
No.
Does the applicant wish to make any comments?
Sure.
If you'd identify yourself, please.
My name is Anna Tomlinson. I'm the owner of the property. And the properties are merged. I had sent the letter from my lawyer who said once we had purchased both properties that they automatically merge. So I don't understand why MTO is asking for them to merge when they already exist as one property. And I'm not aware of the PIN. Am I supposed to get one PIN for them?
So, and I can speak to that if the community desires. So, the PIN number, the property information number, is the legal identifying number for each lot. And the municipality doesn't have anything to do with that, but we also have the assessment roll. So we can merge assessment rolls so we get one tax bill if we're notified that there's one PIN. So I'm not really sure how, as I'm not a lawyer, I'm sure the applicant's lawyer can explain better, but why there's two PINs if it's merged. I think MTO just wants confirmation if it is merged, then there should only be one PIN and that should be consolidated. And that should be easy to do if that's the case.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
speaking from personal experience, we bought a piece of land from the municipality that's adjacent to our property. And we had to get a new PIN for the merged property. And it did have to be filed on title as a separate step. I know that our lawyer seemed to overlook that fact until it was drawn to his attention. And at that point, it was done in our case. Maybe in your case, it's just one more filing is necessary, but that's just my experience. Thank you.
Any additional comments, questions? Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak on this?
No, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Last chance, any final comments or questions? Gabe, can you please provide us with the suggested decision and conditions of this variance?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The recommended decision is that the Committee of Adjustment grant minor variance application number A15-2023 to permit the development of the lands in accordance with the site sketch. There are three conditions. The first one is that the proposed addition shall occur substantially in accordance with the site plan in this schedule and drawing provided with the application A15-2023. The second one, that the two parcels be formally consolidated into one PIN. And the third one, that this variance will only be in effect once a permit for the development is received from the Ministry of Transportation, MTO, or confirmation from MTO that the permit is not required. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any questions, comments? Yeah, I have a motion then to accept the decision.
Motion to accept.
Okay, that's Cameron. All those in favor? That motion is carried. Would you please identify the next steps?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicant will receive an email with the decision and notice of appeal period. Also, you are able to now to take off the sign from your property. Thank you very much.
We can. This doesn't have all of the conditions on that. Okay. Got it. Yeah. It's for your bed. Very much. I don't rent to them.
You can lean in, yes.
Thank you. So I understand there are enough files for a meeting on December the 13th.
Aye.
Okay. Any additional business? Everyone happy? All right, this meeting is officially closed then. Thank you.
And I was gonna ask you, how was your holiday?
Great.
How long were you away for?
2 weeks. So,
What did you do? You did
flew into Prague.